The Quran is an eternal person. While Orthodox Islamic theology insists that the Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah and co-eternal with Allah, that would be interesting enough, we can't forget that according to Muhammad, the Quran is also a person who intercedes for Muslims. In Sahih Muslim, 1874, Muhammad says to his companions, "Recite the Quran, for it will come on the day of resurrection, interceding for its companions." Now, how can a book intercede for people? Sahih Muslim, 1874, he tells his followers to recite Surat Al-Baqarah and Surat Al-Imran because these surahs will come as two flocks of birds on the day of resurrection, pleading on behalf of the Muslims who recited them. Since Muhammad mentions 3 different surahs of the Quran, which have their own distinct personalities, their own knowledge, I think we can say that all of the surahs of the Quran have their own distinct personalities. The Quran Muslims read today is thus one in essence as the word of Allah, but 114 in person. The personal chapters come as flocks of birds pleading on behalf of Muslims. I see lots of Muslims smiling and laughing at this. This is what your prophet said. This is your prophet.
He says that, this is exactly his words. He said the Quran is an eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. He says the Quran is, it will come as a shafi'ah on the day of judgment. So if, this is the question, I'll put it better for you, I'll help you, yeah? If the Quran is an attribute of God, how can it intercede for you? This is what he's saying, right? It's a good question. This is a good question. But it's not a proper understanding of the hadith. The hadith says, "Iqra al-Quran." So it's not that the Quran, i.e. the attribute of Allah, that will intercede for you on the day of judgment, but it is your qira'ah of the Quran and the thawab that you get of the Quran, which means the reward you get from the recitation of the Quran, not the Quran as an attribute of Allah. Yeah? He says, therefore, there's 114 persons of the Quran. Two call fallacy. I told you he would do it and appeal to hypocrisy. So here are you admitting that having more than one person of a being of God is wrong because you should leave Trinitarianism then? But obviously, as we know, there's no one in the history of Islam that referred to the surah of the Quran as persons. This is wrong. You don't know about Islam. Here you're being educated. But the idea is an implicit admission here that I've lost. This is what I come up with. I've lost. Yes, we know Trinitarianism is so confusing, but I'm going to show you how much Tawheed is confusing as well. I have admitted defeat, therefore I'm going down. I'm going to try and take you down with me. That's really what you're trying to say to me, David Wood. I know by the look of your face here, you would probably agree with me.
Muhammad replied that it's your own recitation that appears to you. Now that's interesting enough. If your own recitation of the Quran is appearing as a pale man, but I don't think that's what it means because of the next point, which is that individual chapters of the Quran appear as flocks of birds to intercede for you. So if individual chapters of the Quran are appearing and pleading for you, then why wouldn't the entire Quran as a whole also be appearing to you? So it seems that it's not just talking about your own good recitation or something like that, but the book itself. He says, "I am the Quran."
It's not a proper understanding of the hadith. He says person, this shows you that the surah are, he thinks this means that the chapters of the Quran are persons. I've always wanted to do this, yeah? To take a word from Dwayne, the Rock Johnson. It doesn't matter what you think.
I think we can say,
It doesn't matter what you think.
I don't think,
It doesn't matter what you think.
I don't think,
It doesn't matter what you think.
It doesn't matter what you think. I mean, flock of birds and the man who comes, the pale man. Yes, this is in good deeds. And this proves my point, once again, that the qira'ah of the Quran is what is represented, the thawab. You get the rewards for doing the good. And it comes. That's what the hadith is talking about. The man comes in a good form. This is the hadith in Bukhari.
the Quran is an eternal person.
But this is a type of sickness. You see, they have developed a sickness.
He said the Quran is an eternal person. Tell me one scholar in the history of Islam who said that. This is a lie. Lie. There's no one in the history of Islam that referred to the surah of the Quran as persons. This is wrong. You don't know about Islam. Here you're being educated.
I think we can say, I don't think.
It doesn't matter what you think.
This is what happens. Allah describes it to us in the Holy Quran. بَلْ نَقْذِفُ بِالْحَقِّ عَلَى الْبَاطِلِ. When truth is hurled against falsehood, it knocks out its brains. It knocks out its brains. It knocks out its brains.
Cowabunga.
وَدَّت طَّائِفَةٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يُضِلُّونَكُمْ وَمَا يُضِلُّونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu akbar.